Hello and welcome to today's tutorial. A lot of people have been asking for a template that you can download for your bachelor or master thesis or even dissertation. And in this tutorial today, I'm going to provide to you such a template, and I'm going to cover very quickly the basic things that you need to know how to use this template. So I'm not going to explain how to set up everything, every little step in detail. So if you have some knowledge of InDesign, you will get why I use certain things in this template and how to use it. So how to create pictures, headlines, automatic numbered headlines, and tables, and so on. So let's get started with the tutorial. For this tutorial you need of course to download the thesis template, and this is the folder over here. We can open it and take a look at our structure. We have here the thesis document. This is a document you always want to open when you write on your thesis. This is a book document. So you see here the different chapters. Those are all InDesign documents, are organized with this book structure here. If you want to open a document, you can double click on it and it will be opened in InDesign, indicated by this little book symbol over here that it's open. Let's take again a look at our structure. Here are our book documents, but you should never open them directly from here because this might mess up a little bit things in InDesign. So always open this one first and then open your stuff from inside InDesign. The first thing you want to make sure if you start writing on your thesis are the margins of your page. So if you take a look, for example, on the table of contents, your margins, these are the distance from your text to the border of the page. For example, this from here to here are 3 centimeters. You might get specific advices from your university how big your margins should be, and if you need to change your margins, you can do this in layout, margins and columns and change them here. You need to change those for every document. You can't sync them over your whole book. You can sync everything else, but not your margins. There's an alternative way to change your margins. We can go to our master pages. This is the basic layout of your text page. And if you change the margin in here, if you have this one selected, and then under layout, layout adjustment, if we have this activated, this is checked at the moment, then we can adjust our margins. For example, we can say this should be 4 centimeters. You can click on OK. And now you see this was moved down, and it will also adjust this in all of your pages. So you see it here, it changed it everywhere where this master page A was applied. We're going to undo this. However, you still need to do this on all your chapters. Then you might want to change your header. It's this one over here. So you can decide if you want to have a header or you don't want to have a header. So if you take a look again on this page, it has master A applied, and we have a master B that has no header at all. And if you want to remove the header, we can just replace the master A with master B. Therefore, we're going to select all pages and go on apply master to pages, and we're going to select master B. And we see now that the header is gone, and also the margin was adjusted from 3 to 2 centimeters automatically. We again need to do this for all pages. For example, if we go to introduction, we first want to make sure layout adjustment is enabled. We activate this checkbox here. Then we select all pages and do again the apply master to pages and select master B in here. And now the header is gone and the layout is automatically adjusted. However, for this example, I'm going to keep the header. So let's undo this. And there we have our header again. Next, we're going to talk about how to add additional chapters to your thesis. We have already everything in here that you would need for a normal thesis. But let's just assume you want to add some supplementary information, for example. We're going to go to our folder, and in thesis chapter, we have a template document. We're going to duplicate this one. And we're just going to call this one 6 supplementary information. Like this. Now we're going to add this one to our book. We can click on this plus sign here. And then we add this one with open. Now it appears in our book. You also would be able to move those around in your document. But we want to keep it for now in the end of our thesis. So you could imagine in here, you would add some supplementary information, for example. However, we don't really need this one, so we're going to remove it again. And it's also a good idea to save your book from time to time, and we can close this one. And now we're back on our starting page. Next, we need to start to get some text in here. And here you have basically two ways to do this. You can write your text directly in InDesign, or you can use, for example, Google Documents to write your text here and put it from here into InDesign and do the formatting later. Both things have advantages and disadvantages. If you write it on Google Docs, for example, it's really nice that you can share it, for example, with your supervisor, over here, for example. And then you can also allow people to make comments. So, for example, I could just click here and say I write a comment. And your supervisor could add comments into your text, and you can work on the same document very easily. The disadvantage is that you need to do all the formatting later on. You need to copy those things and bring them into InDesign and do the formatting if you're done writing. So this is why I prefer to use InDesign directly as a writing program. But let's see how to get your text from Google Docs into InDesign and do the layout when you finished writing. If you go to our first page, for example, we have now our abstract copied. We can just paste it in here, like this. And now we need to delete the headline. And now we have to do some formatting. For example, the Latin species in here, we need to write them italic. And this can take quite a lot of time. So this is very tedious to do this in the end. If you imagine you have 200 pages and you need to do this on every page. So it depends on your personal preferences which way you want to choose to go. Let's also put some stuff onto the next pages. We go back and we copy the rest. Because now I can also show you how to create numbered headlines in InDesign. Let's move this out of the way. We can delete the introduction in here. So the first headline would be in here, head 1. This would be the first level, but we already have this above, so we can delete this one. And now this should be the second level, and we go on. We need to remember that we need to place a figure in here. We're going to do this later on. And then this would be a second level headline, for example, and this also the third, and so on. Something like this. We can fit this into the frame. We can also delete those things, we don't need them anymore. And it's also important to know that you always need to have two pages that are threaded together with the text frame. Like here. So we don't see this thread at the moment, but we can go on View and here on Extras and show text threads. And now we see those text frames are linked and the text will flow from this frame to the next one. And if I have reached the bottom of this frame, it will insert automatically new pages as needed. But this only works when I have at least two pages that are threaded by a text frame. This is very important to keep in mind. Let's save this one and this one as well. Next, I want to explain how to insert a figure into InDesign. So if we take, for example, a picture, we can just drop it into InDesign like this. Let's just take another one. And now you want to think about how to combine those two pictures into a figure. I would say we can make them spaced out over the whole page. Something like this. Therefore, we would need to increase the size a little bit, that they fit well together. This should be fine. If you want to get a spacing between those pictures, I would, for example, say you always keep the spacing, the distance between pictures with 5 millimeters. You can use those two buttons to control for spacing of your pictures. So you click this once, it's moved a little bit to the left, and then we can just select this picture and drag it out to the right. You see, it snaps to the border of the text frame because I have Smart Guides activated. You can activate Smart Guides under Grids and Guides, and here Smart Guides. Now we can move this to the side on our pasteboard, and in here I double click on this to rescale the picture. I always hold the Shift key to make it scale proportionally. I also will scale this one. Something like this should be fine. Next I'm going to make them the same height. You can check in here how high they are. So you see this one is 79 millimeters high and this one 79.5. So we're just going to delete this one, and now they should have the same height. We can also align them on the button to make sure they're aligned very good. Next, I would like to get some labeling like A and B on those two pictures. And I have here the template box. We can double click on this master page. And in here I have already prepared labeling for you. So we can just copy this one and we can go back to our page and we insert it in here. Now to get this labeling in the right position on your pictures, you're going to distribute them accordingly, and you select both the labeling and your picture and you align them to the left and to the bottom. You do the same with picture B. And then you select both picture labels and move them up 5 keystrokes and move them to the right 5 keystrokes. Now we can select the whole thing and press Command G to group it as one object. If you use figures, you should always put your pictures inside of a text frame. So we create one here and we're going to copy this picture and place it into this text frame. This will help us to keep the picture labeling and the picture itself together in our running text. Under here we can select the figure numbering and give this picture a description. Something like this. We can also make A and B bold with the character styles to give it a nicer structure. Then we need to reduce the size of our frame here and make it snap to the border of the picture. Let's see how wide this one is, and we just set the same width for our text frame as well. Next we're going to select the picture inside our text frame and we're going to assign this object style, it's called picture, to the picture itself, and this will decrease the spacing between the picture and the figure. And also you can later on edit the distance of your text and the picture itself with this object style on all your pictures. Now we can copy this one, the whole thing, and paste it into our text. Let's delete this one. And we first want to assign the basic font in here to get rid of this indent. And then we just paste the picture inside here, like this. And we can go on preview. And I think this looks quite nice. Let's go back again. One tip to the side, I would recommend you to copy this one again and paste it in here. And to delete this text frame, because now it's inside our running text. And the numbering, the running numbering of your figures, it's better for InDesign if you delete those things, because then InDesign gets more stable. Also, you can ungroup this one. And now you could do changes in here, just keep it hanging around on your pasteboard. And if you want to make changes and you have done changes, you can just group this one again, delete this, and then paste the new one in. Also remember to always apply the picture style again to your picture itself to get the right spacing. Next, I would like to show you how to create tables. Therefore, we're going to open our results document. And let's say we want to insert a table in here. We can do this by going to Table, Insert Table. And in this case, we will need, let's say, a few rows. And I know that I need 4 columns. And I'm going to select the style Basic Table. Now we need to get our data. And I have some sample data for you in the exercise files. We're going to open the table nanodrop CSV. You can use, for example, OpenOffice for this. And in here, you can click on OK. And then you can copy your data. We don't take the headline with us right now. Just copy it. And I see now we need 5 columns, but it doesn't matter. We can just paste it in here anyway. And it will extend our table. Now we need to shrink it again to fit to our text frame. And we hold the Shift key and we move this one. And this will let all columns move to the side if we rescale it. Next, we want to add a header for this table. Therefore, we're going to go on Table, Table Options, Headers and Footers. We want to have 2 header rows. You can click on OK. And in here, we will paste our headlines. Let's go back to OpenOffice. We're just going to copy this one and paste it in here. Now I want to merge those cells. We can do this by clicking this button. And this will make the structure a little bit more clear. And we can call this one measurement 1 and the other cell measurement 2. Next we can select our cells and we can check there might be something wrong with the formatting here, and we see there's a plus sign. So we're going to clear the overrides in here, and now the formatting should be right. We can now take a look at our table in the preview mode. This looks quite nice. Let's go to the normal mode again. And the only thing we need to do now is to add a headline. Like this. And we're going to apply the table numbering style to get an automatic numbering. And here we have our final table. Next, we want to insert some cross-references out of our text that point to the tables or figures that we are using. To do this, you can create some brackets and say, for example, C. And here we want to include our table. And to do this, we're going to click on the hyperlinks panel and we create a new cross-reference with this button here. Then we're going to, if we want to link to this table, for example, this is table 1. We're going to select the table numbering paragraph style. This is this one. And we select the table. We just have one table in this document, so this is our table 1. And we want to include only the paragraph number. And we see here, it's now saying see table 1. We can click on OK. And if we now would insert some more tables, even before table 1, we could update all the numbers. I'll show you later on how we do this. Then, if you want to link to our figure, it's important to realize that our figure was placed in the introduction. And if you want to link from the chapter 3, our results, to a picture that is in the introduction and the results need to be opened, so we can create this cross-reference. We select in here the figure numbering, and we link to our figure 1, and we only include the paragraph number. If the figure would be on another chapter, we can choose the chapter in here, but only the ones that are open will appear in this selection menu. So this should be fine. You can click on OK. And there we have our reference to our figure. We can save the changes in our documents. And now we need to talk about updating, because if you would insert some figures before or after this, it might change also the numbering of our cross-references. To update those things, we go to our book window and we select all our documents. we go into this under menu, and in here we can update all cross-references. So this will update all our figure and table links that we have in our text. We can also here update our page numbers, and also, this is really important, update our chapter numbers. So let's do this, just in case right now. It will take some time. And we can also update our cross-references. And it says us now, well, it's updated, so this should be fine. We can save this in all our documents. The other thing that you need to watch out for on our front page, we have a table of contents, and we want to update this table of contents as well. So we can place our cursor in the table of contents, and with layout, update table of contents, we can update the table of contents. And we see now here it has added some new entries and also updated the page numbering. One thing I also want to point out is that on your master page, in the template box, you also have some other things that you can use. For example, if you have mathematical formulas or you want to insert a code or some programming language, you have those boxes that are also a nice layout element that you can just copy from here and paste where you want to have them. Next, I would like to show you how you manage your cross-references. Therefore, we're going to open the last chapter, and we have here our references. I have some more references for you, and you find those in the sample documents. It's also again in a table, so let's open this one. And you just copy all of the references in here, go into the table, and paste them in. As you can see, they are getting formatted automatically, which is really, really nice. Now I would like to sort them alphabetically, and there's a nice script, and this is from Peter Carell. And here is the address. I also will put this address where you can download the script in the YouTube description. To run the script, you can open the script window, place your cursor into the table, and just double click on this script. The settings here are alright, we click on OK, and it will sort our table alphabetically after the authors. Let's save this one. Once you're done with your document and you have let it checked by other people, you should always again update on the front page your table of contents, and you also should again update all your numbering, all your cross-references before you export your document as a PDF. To export your book as a PDF, you need to select all documents and then go on Export Book to PDF. First, you define a place where you want to save it. And then here, we should always include bookmarks and hyperlinks. This is nice if you have it as a PDF for online things. And you can do all the standard settings you want to do here. But normally a high quality print should be fine. We can go on Export. This will take some time. And now we can take a look at our finished book. And now we see it has merged all our documents together in one big one. And we see here our really nice layout of our thesis. We have here our table. And also if we click on the links here, it will jump to the figures where we wanted to point with the cross-references. And we have also here our reference list. And there we have our nice thesis. Okay, that's it for today. Maybe some of you noticed I didn't use the grep styles that we developed in a few tutorials before, and this is because the grep styles for formatting your references making InDesign very, very slow. So there will be another tutorial in the future that will show how to use the same grep styles, but how to use them in a way that it doesn't slow InDesign down so much. So this is something for the future. Also, in the next and final tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use Illustrator with a set of templates that are created for molecular stuff, like PCR and so on, and I'm going to provide those to you as well, so you can create your own flowcharts and diagrams if you work at some point in the lab. So, until next time, bye bye.